You mean to buy just one item, but then the cart kept filling up. Sounds familiar? I've seen it with people around me and in my own life too. That slow creep of overspending, even when budgets are set. So, today we are exploring why those small purchases add up, how to spot patterns before it's too late, and of course, what you can do to stop that cycle. By the way, if you'd like more practical, no fluff financial guidance, please consider subscribing. You see, it helps ensure that I can share more useful tools with you. Now, let's get started. Have you ever gone to buy just one thing and ended up with like five? From emotional triggers and retail therapy to clever marketing as well as those dopamine hits, there is a lot happening in our mind, and hence we end up spending more than we plan. And understanding why we do it is the first step towards breaking the cycle. So let's quickly unpack these patterns. You see, overspending is often an emotional response. From emotional triggers and retail therapy to clever marketing as well as those dopamine hits, there is a lot happening in our mind, and hence we end up spending more than we planned. There was a time when I had a rough week at work. You see, deadlines piling up, zero motivation, and that constant feeling that I wasn't doing good enough. One evening, after yet another frustrating meeting, I opened a shopping app, just browsing, you see, and ended up buying so many skincare products. Wait, the list continues. A set of journals. And ironically, I wasn't even into journaling at that time. You see, the high was temporary. By the time the packages arrived, the guilt had already settled in. Overspending wasn't about the stuff, it was about the feeling of being overwhelmed and stressed. And overspending gave me a false sense of relief. While it gives a little dopamine hit, a moment of joy in that otherwise difficult day. But emotional spending often leaves behind a trail, clutter, regret, and sometimes even debt. Now that we've recognized the psychology of overspending, let's take a moment to discuss the power of compound. We've all heard that term of compound interest, often referred to as one of the most powerful forces in the finances. But here's the catch, it can work either for you or against you. See, when you invest or save, you earn interest, and the next time you earn interest on the interest that you earned. So that's the compounding. And over time, your money just doesn't grow, it accelerates.
Imagine you invest rupees 1000 at 10% annual interest. Year 1 it gives rupees 1100. Year 2 you have rupees 1200. Year 10 you are at almost rupees 2600, more than double, without lifting a finger, you see. That's the beauty of time and patience. That's compounding interest when money works for you. Now let's flip that. You owe rupees 1000 on a credit card with 30% interest. If you don't pay it off, that interest also compounds. You pay interest on your past interest. And if you keep only making minimum payments, that rupees 1000 can quietly turn into rupees 3000 or more over time, and you are stuck paying more for something that's long gone. It's like digging a hole, and every month the shovel gets bigger. That's compounding debt when money works against you.
So, how do I even prevent debt? So, what you can do is segregate your purchases into categories, and these categories can be something like this: must pay, the needs, the
While
wants.
your must pay could be medical expenses, the needs are the food, and then there are wants.
So, you see, compounding isn't just a financial term. Your money could be growing silently in the background, or it could be your debt, which could be ballooning silently while you're trying to catch up. The sooner I understand this difference, the better choices I will be making with my money. Another way of not running into debt is budgeting. So, if you're not making a budget, you may run out of money. and consequently you are unable to pay bills or maybe unable to decide which bills to pay right now. I've made a video on budgeting. If you haven't checked that already, please find a link somewhere above. Now that we are talking managing money, here are some quick tips. First one is to have multiple accounts. A good way to manage money is to hold multiple accounts. You could have joint account for your expenses and the savings account that you could have. Apart from that, you must keep in mind the fact that the number of accounts that you have are manageable to you. Second is to have separate debit cards. So when you have separate debit cards, you are easily able to see the direction of your money and how much you're spending for each category that you're holding the debit card for. Okay, you do not have to have multiple debit cards, but you can make things very easy, like the necessities or maybe some personal savings that you have. You could have two debit cards in that sense. Other than that, when I speak of debit cards, and holding such debit cards help you not just to budget but also they limit the exposure to risk that you have. You could even use a credit card, and in order to prevent overspending in case of a credit card, what you could simply do is you could check out a budget from your, like, whatever pay that you receive or maybe whatever amount that you are credited each month, and from that amount, how much you're going to put in for for the credit card payments. In that case, you are less likely to derail and overspend. Third is navigating the group events in terms of spending. There are circumstances when you've met your friend and you plan on meeting your friend maybe 2 days later, and you have your entire month planned accordingly. You want to go for something fancy and so on, and suddenly there is a plan which pops up. Maybe your colleague wants to go out with you or something of that sort, and it's not really a problem till a point where these things become very frequent and they start to hit your budget, right? So in that case, you need to find a middle ground, right? So how do you deal with those situations? These are the unexpected events that I'm talking about. And mind it, like, catching up with colleagues once in a while is always good, but I am talking about a specific situation where these are frequent. So one way to navigate through this is to have an estimate. You could ask for a ballpark figure around the expense that could be there. You need to have a clarity around how much you're going to spend and so on. So if it suits you, you could go, else you could simply give it a pass, let it slide. And as I speak of this, I know how our societies have this weird obsession of labeling people as frugal or miser when they say no to something. But it's always okay and nice to have an estimate around how much you're going to spend, or maybe something like an idea. Remember, asking for going Dutch or maybe seeking an estimate around something isn't that bad. So just get over that hesitation. Another simple way to navigate through group event spending could be something like, being very disciplined with your spending. Also having courage to decline because you simply know your priorities for the month is totally okay and you can go for that as well. Online shopping feels harmless until the bill hits. Flash sales, one click buys, only 2 units left. It's not a coincidence. It's a psychology. Let's talk about why we overspend online and how to stop before your next impulse buying. The psychology behind overspending online stems from the fact that these products on these online stores are available 24/7. So, this 24/7 access to the products makes us shop more and it leaves us to impulse buying. I mean, you can order right in the middle of the night, which is not the case for the local stores. Added to it is the fact that there is an aggressive marketing which is all adding to your overspending.
Don't worry, you don't have to delete every app or stop shopping altogether. You just need a few smart habits. You could limit your window shopping, limit your browsing. This minimizes the targeted ads. Another way you could use incognito mode for research. This too minimizes the targeted ads.
I'd like to take a moment to discuss convenience services with you all. Picture this. You order a food for rupees 150 and then comes the bill. 150 for food, 45 for delivery, 30 for packaging. 18 for convenience, and 12 for taxes, and so on. Suddenly, your light snack needs a loan approval. Trustingly, while I am the one doing all the work, scrolling, choosing, paying. Somehow, these apps are the ones who are charging for convenience. Sorry, it was all in good humor. I hope you've realized this already. Tips are no longer optional, they rarely give you a choice. They are basically paid in the form of the delivery charges. So, you see, I'm speaking from the POV of consumers, so no offense to delivery guys. Also, you may have noticed that there's a sudden surge in delivery cost, unlike the previous times. What I'm going to speak now is very distasteful, yet I speak. Remember, it's very case specific and does not apply to everyone. So, if you track how often you order for a delivery and record and add up the total amount of transactions that you'll be amazed by the cumulative spending that you've made on deliveries. When you physically do the math, the pen and paper calculation, you actually see the money depart. The point here is that until you do it all visually, you do not realize how much money you're spending on the delivery fee. You can simply question yourself, are you okay with that? Once you're aware about that and it's acceptable to you, it's not really a problem. If it bugs you, do something. You could use maybe the budgeting apps. These apps are freely available.
You could seek counsel or ask questions like, why am I overspending? What has made this a habit? Am I trying to be liked? Do I want to fit in? Do I want that designer label?
Sometimes it's psychological, seek help in that case. Discover your financial strength. Sometimes telling no takes time. If you want to feel better about your life, start feeling better about your money. Overspending happens, but awareness is the first step. Just spend smarter and not harder. This hit home, like, share, and subscribe for more money sense in plain language. Till then.
Hope you liked the video. Please don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe. We'll be back with more such videos.